I'm going to record it on the computer. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen with you guys. So you are going to need to see this. I don't know if you can, even though if you're on mute. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So this is my welcome post. So maybe you're here, you're depressed, you're anxious, you have brain fog, low energy, pain, or you're here. You have difficulty losing or keeping weight off, low energy, gas, bloating, acid reflux, constipation, or here. Thyroid or autoimmune issues, joint pain, skin issues, fatigue, belly fat, hormonal issues, or maybe you want to be here. But a big part of this is getting sick all the time too, because your immunity is out of whack. They're very related. So a lot of these symptoms that I'm mentioning here are very tied to your immunity. And maybe you want to be here. You want to be energized and thriving, happy, healthy, confident, and sexy in the body that you love. So this is really what we do. So this is gut health. So for anybody who hasn't heard me talk about gut health, I'm just going to explain it in a way that I think that you can understand. So your gut runs from your mouth to your anus, and it is directly connected to everything that's going on in your body. So science has finally upped their game and says it's connected to your brain and your heart, and that it does affect mood. And they say that it can connect to like 85% of diseases. So in my research over the last 15 years, I have found that it is directly linked to every disease that's going on in the body in one way or another, either through the inflammation process or through stress. It all comes back to the gut because stress, and she's trying to get in and it's not letting her. Okay, so stress and cortisol levels, they pivot off what's going on in your gut. So if you have inflammation in the body, then you have a gut health issue. If you have a gut health issue, it's going to lead you to the inflammation in your body. And they're all codependent on those cortisol levels, that stress. So inside your gut, you have like a wall. It's a thin wall, and we call it the gatekeeper. And that gatekeeper is meant to keep things behind it. So fungi, bacteria, viruses, those collectively make up your gut microbiome. Okay, so all these things are kept behind that gatekeeper, and they pass through your body so that you don't get sick. Okay, now when you have something called leaky gut, which means the bad bacteria in your body is outweighing the good. You need good and bad, but they're not, one is not supposed to be higher than the other. The good bacteria, well, that's not correct. The good bacteria is supposed to outweigh the bad, not vice versa. So when this happens, what happens is that gatekeeper starts to dissipate, and over time with toxins, bad diet, surgery. So like if you've had a prior surgery, that can cause it. If you're a big ibuprofen user or a Tylenol or any of those medications like antibiotics, they all can lead to this. Toxins in your environment. And diet is a really big part of it. Those sugary foods that everybody always tells you to stay away from, there's a reason for that. It leads to this. It does impact your gut balance in a really big way. So what happens is over time, this gut lining starts to come apart, and all those things that have been kept behind that wall that leave your body are now leaking into your system, your blood system, and it's causing symptoms all over your body. So why people have such a hard time diagnosing this, and people really go on suffering for years, is because it does run through your whole body in your blood system. It can cause symptoms anywhere in your body. Your body does work together. So if one system is off, the other systems are off. If you're having heart issues, your kidneys have to work twice as hard to keep that blood flowing and your pressure up. So every system, even though they're independent, they are codependent on one another. They all help each other work. So when the gut falls apart like this, you start seeing skin issues, mood disorders, because inside your gut is where your hormones are regulated, and that does impact every other hormone that's going on in your body. Because from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night, everything that happens in your body is a hormone response. So what happens is, if one hormone's off and it's supposed to send a signal to jump, let's say, because it's off, it might go to the next hormone and say walk. And then the next message to the next hormone won't be sufficient either. So it just trickles down and people get sicker and sicker. So a lot of people see mood disorders. So a lot of depression, anxiety, they are directly connected to what's going on in the gut. And the best way that I found I've been a very sick woman. I had lots of things going on with autoimmune. I was that depressed person for years. I knew as a child that I had hormonal issues. And this is kind of how I found the problem in myself. When I went back and I traced where the symptoms started, I always had digestive issues. I always had constipation. There was always hormonal imbalances and allergens to things on my skin and in the air. So I kind of knew that I had all these things going on. And when I looked at the big picture, I was able to see that they were all directly coming back to this. So, and as I corrected the problem, I got progressively better. When I started doing what's recommended in my diet and in my health, and getting my gut back into that place, that depression went away. The symptoms from my thyroid and autoimmune diseases went away. I used to have really bad sharp pain like diabetics get from my Raynaud's. In my fingers, in my toes, they felt like they were burning all the time, whether it was hot or cold. I had horrible symptoms. And when I started really putting this process that we're going to go into here, everything changed. And I am such a different person today. So I really like sharing this with people. So this tells you about the gut, that there's a trillion microbiomes inside your gut, and they all connect back to your gut microbe. That's all what collectively makes it. So they're incredibly important as they participate in or control all of your bodily functions, including digestion, absorption of nutrients, protection of the interior lining of the digestive tract, signaling your hunger cues and cravings, your metabolism, detoxifying pathways, inflammation in your body, and the production of neurotransmitters, your brain chemicals. They have an effect on weight, mood, energy levels, cognition, behavior, expression of genes, immunity. So your gut microbes may be the root cause and solution for many health problems. There are 3 problems that can occur in the gut that may lead to health troubles. So we're going to get into what those problems are. So this is just a repeat. So we have a good and bad bacteria. Problems arise when the bad bacteria is higher than the good. As you will learn in this lesson, this can result from processed foods and even taking ibuprofen on a regular basis. So there's a lot of different things that can lead to that. And a lot of these things we can control, but we certainly can't control the toxins in our environment. So like having aerosols in your house and all those things. So when I went clean, I did everything. The things I was cleaning with around my house, everything. I took as much toxin out of my environment that I could control as possible. So this talks about the different ways that it can occur. Oops, I'm going too fast. So the more harmful the microbes, than beneficial ones. Overgrowth of a pathogen. So if you have pathogens in your body and they're continually growing, that can cause it. So let's say you have dysentery or something like that. You go away and you have dysentery and you don't take care of it right away. Those pathogens can overgrow and lead to dysbiosis inside your gut. And all dysbiosis really is that imbalance of good and bad bacteria. It's just a fancy word. So these. So not enough diversity of microbes. So a lot of people will go out and they'll buy probiotics or prebiotics, and your body really doesn't manage them well, because the time your body digests it, there's very little in those store-bought like acidophilus and things like that. It's not in the amounts that you need. So the best way to really get those prebiotics and probiotics are your food. Your prebiotics are your fruits, your vegetables, and your whole grains. They are not digested well by the body. So they actually just, the purpose of them is just to feed the probiotics in the microbiome and make it proliferate so that those good bacteria expands and grow. That's the whole purpose of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains in your body. So whether they taste good or not, it's time to start having them. So, so this just goes more into it. I tried to make it colorful. Sorry, guys. So this talks about the things that cause it, like C-sections, formula feeding. This is more for a child, but this tells you like you can be any age to get this. So certain microbes can be formed through the health of the mother. So the child could be born with a problem in the gut. And then if they're not breastfeeding and they're doing formula feeds, it can further cause trouble. So the antibiotic use, GI infections. So a lot of people get GI infections. Poor diet, chronic stress is big, toxins, and low stomach acid. So I said before in the past, everything in your body is acid and base balance. So if you have too much acid, you don't have enough base, and that will throw off your flora as well. So a lot of people eat very high acidic diets, and that will contribute to it. So it causes distension, tiredness, diarrhea, constipation. Sometimes you'll have urgency to use the bathroom, and other times you'll be constipated for days on end. You'll get cramping. You'll have food intolerances and sensitivities, and a large number of illnesses. So this is problem 2, intestinal permeability. This is leaky gut. This is what I explained earlier. So this is the lining of the intestinal wall is only 1 cell thick. It determines what materials in the gut enter the body via the blood system. With proper intestinal permeability, appropriate things such as vitamins and fully digested proteins get in, and harmful things stay out. When one has increased permeability, that's the leaky gut, food, toxins, and waste leak into the blood system and enter the body. So chronic stress is big, physical or emotional, including sleep deprivation, because that can lead to a lot of stress on your body, whether you internalize that stress or not. But not getting enough sleep does put a lot of stress on your body, because it doesn't have the energy expenditure it needs to really take you through the day and do the things you want to. And that's also when we crave those sugary processed foods, because our body's craving sugar. So gluten is big. Gluten increases zonulin. It's a protein which may increase the permeability in the gut. So you'll hear a lot of educators online telling you that if you don't have a gluten allergy, that it's not harmful to you, and that's not true. Gluten is highly processed. So cutting it out would be beneficial. So surgery can cause leaky gut. Medications, as we went over, alcohol, cigarette smoking, chemotherapy and radiation, traumatic brain injury, poor diet, sugared processed food, gluten, dairy, inflammation, they all impact permeability. So there's always going to be, even if people have, my last masterclass was on inflammation in the body, and there's always going to be a low level of inflammation in the body. That's normal and that's healthy. Your body, your immunity needs that. That's how your immunity responds to that fight and flight. So part of that whole process is having a low level inflammation. It's when it becomes chronic that it becomes a problem. So, and poor diet, as we mentioned. So, so this is all that is the symptoms that it includes. Inflammation is the response of the immune system to any threat, infection, or injury. Chronic inflammation may be caused by different factors, such as pathogenic microbes, overgrowth in the gut. So the gut does lead back to the inflammation. Food sensitivities, that's pretty normal today because even if you didn't have an intolerance when you were younger, lots of people develop them as they age after being exposed. And things are made differently today. If you look at our children that are much taller, much more well endowed for the females, that has a lot to do with the hormones they're putting in our dairy products and things like that. So that has a lot to do with the children that are, suffering today with all these skin allergens and all that other stuff. So over time, being exposed to antibiotic use, because most animals, if they're not farm raised, they are given antibiotics on a regular basis because there's so many of them thrown in together. And if one gets sick, they worry about them all getting sick. So they just regularly dose them with antibiotics. And that's a fact. And I was appalled when I found that out. So, all right. So the trifecta here is the relationship between the quality of the microbiome, the integrity of the intestinal lining, and the degree of the inflammation. So these all go together. You have the imbalanced microbiome, then it leads to inflammation, and then you're at leaky gut. So all three of these conditions can come together as a root cause of countless digestive and non-digestive ailments and diseases. So this is just explaining like the degree. So when you first start having symptoms with this, it's easier to correct in the beginning. But people that have been suffering with this for 10, 20 years, going to doctors, not really knowing what was going on and not really getting any answers, it's a little longer to get them back on track. But it shouldn't really take more than a year for anybody because you're constantly focused on that bacteria and building it up. So those fermented foods, those kimchis and things like that, those fruits, those vegetables and the whole grains, and the less red meat that you're having, the better for you that is. I mean, so you can have lean proteins or plant proteins, but red meat really does play a role here. So these are some of the symptoms that are caused IBS. So I'm going to go into it just in case people here are suffering from that. It's not actually a disease, it's a syndrome, and this can be reversed. So a lot of people that are walking around suffering with IBS, it can be debilitating, especially when they work a regular job. So they put them on something called a FODMAPs diet, which is a very restrictive diet. There are a lot of things that you cannot eat. And rather than really looking for something curative, and if they repair the gut by doing the protocol and increasing those probiotics, these people can become symptom-free. So inflammatory bowel disease, the name itself tells you it's caused by inflammation and it is connected to the gut, the leaky gut. Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, which are all autoimmune diseases and which the immune system attacks its own intestinal cells. But autoimmune disease is started in the gut. So SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, occurs when there are too many bacteria in the small intestines. So but it's overgrowth of the bad bacteria, not the good bacteria. So foods and substances that are known to promote inflammation, cause or worsen leaky gut, and feed bad microbiomes need to be removed. This includes NSAIDs, aspirin, ibuprofen, prednisone, alcohol, caffeine, added sugar, and sugary foods. So when they say added sugar, we're talking about those sugar alcohols that you see on a lot of the package. So it will say added sugars, and it might say 1, and then it will say extra added sugars or sugar alcohols, and it will have like 15. Those are the things that we really want to stay away from. The less ingredients that you use, the better. So some people need to stay on aspirin because they have a condition or a heart condition where it's recommended they take daily aspirin. But they have the ones that are coated that don't affect the gut as much. So, so you have to process refined starches, bread, pasta, crackers, all this stuff packaged. So there are healthy forms of all this. This doesn't mean you stop eating bread or pasta. I love my pasta. I have it every day, and I eat bread, and I'm fine. But it's the choices of those breads. I'm gluten-free. I have gluten-free pasta. So you have to find, when people think they have leaky gut, the best approach, rather than just start them on the protocol, is really to eliminate the 4 biggest offenders and see if they start to get progressively better. And what happens in an elimination diet, you either take one out at a time, and then when you try to add it back in, you can see if it has an effect on you and you start feeling sick again. Or you can take all of them out and try to incorporate one back in at a time, leaving a space between that, and see which of those that you took out is offending. So for myself, I took out gluten, dairy, sugar, and soy, because that's what I was told at the start of my journey were the biggest offenders, and I could not incorporate any of them back in. When I tried, I got really sick. So I knew that that wasn't an option for me anymore. So it doesn't mean you can never have sugar again. It just means that so when we look at these things like alcohol, it doesn't mean you can never have alcohol. I mean, alcohol affects menopause too. That doesn't mean you can't have a glass of wine at dinner if that's what you choose to do. It just means that this shouldn't be the staple in your diet, if that makes sense. So those processed vegetable oils and trans fats, like those canola oils and things like that, they're really bad for you. So you want to remove the foods that you have the sensitivities to first. These are a big ailment, is a specific food or an ailment that can trigger and respond, when you're trying to recover. So you want to take these out as soon as possible if you think this is a problem for you. Dairy is very problematic because of the new things they're putting in our dairy. So I switched to oat milk. I think I was telling you that last time we were together, Mona. Oat milk and almond milk. There are a lot of substitutes. It doesn't taste the same, certainly, as that fatty whole milk that I used to love and have over my ice with those chocolate chip cookies. But like anything else, it's just as easy to fall in love with healthy as it is to fall in love with bad. And the more you start eating healthy ingredients, you actually start to crave them. When I don't have my spinach every day, because I have spinach literally every day. That's one of my main anti-inflammatories. And when I don't have it, I notice a difference in my body. I get those twinges and those pains that I wouldn't usually get, so I know that something's off right away. And it's kept me healthy this long. So I have to believe that I just have to keep sticking to it because I feel great. So we're going to start getting into the program. So there's different methods to determine foods to eliminate, maintaining a symptom journal. So these are just ideas, like when you eat certain things, how you feel, if you get more bloated or gassy, following a full elimination diet or doing a partial elimination diet. There's lots of ways to do it. It's really a matter of choice. you know, how you want to go gluten-free and dairy-free or soy-free and dairy-free. Soy is just a filler, and soy does impact estrogen levels dramatically. So this is specific to women. So women that have like BRCA2 cannot have high estrogen or estrogen replacement therapy when they're going through menopause and things like that. So, and they actually have to stay away from things that change their estrogen levels. And soy has been proven to do that. So anything that is changing your hormones would not be a good idea, you know? So I just stay away from it, and it's used as a filler, just like wheat. You know, they tell you wheat is really good for you. Wheat today in this country is served very differently than it used to be 20 years ago. Wheat wasn't served in the bulk that it was. It wasn't processed and sent to all the countries it was. So in order to keep up with that production, a lot of other things other than that wheat went into that wheat so that they could keep up with that production. So you're not just getting wheat anymore. You're getting a lot of processed materials in with that. So after you remove them, this is going to kill the microbes, and the best option for removing harmful microbes. Some antimicrobial ingredients include, so this is when they get into those probiotics and stuff like that, I'm not on board with a lot of the probiotics, but I bring the best evidence. But this is food. So in my classes, you'll always see food and natural ways that you can get the best results. So garlic is very good for killing bad bacteria in your body. So is onions, coconut. So these are natural things. Oregano, your spices are your best friends. Use more of them. People don't people realize they come from plants, but they don't see that the benefits in really adding a lot of spices. But it's the best way to get the benefits of the plants without eating chunks of vegetables all day long. You're still getting the benefits just by sprinkling that on, you know. So thyme is great for you. Rosemary is good. Peppermint oil, I'm not fond of that myself. It's really a matter of choice. But these things really help reduce the inflammation in the body so the body can start to heal, because the gut gets into this situation because of the inflammation, and that's caused by chronic stress. Everybody has stress, but if you're not managing it and dealing with it and you're staying in that situation, then it's not going to get better. It's going to, you're going to stay sick, because you need to reduce the inflammation in order to start healing. So berberine is really good for you. They have berberine root. Berberine is also a lot of people use as a weight loss supplement. It does reduce the inflammation, but I've known a lot of people that have used it for weight loss and had great effects. And it's a vitamin. It's harmless. So your omega-3 fatty acids, your turmeric, your green tea. So now we're going to get into repairing the damage, like what you can really do. And then we're going to get into the protocol. There's different parts of the protocol that come into play. So all of these also have little crib notes that I write here. So foods and supplements that may encourage repair. You have gelatin and bone broth. Bone broth is really good for you, but you have to find a really good supplier, because some of them taste like cow's crotch or something. They really don't taste well, something that you want. So I like to make my own from like a carcass, or, you know, my husband eats chicken, and I still eat turkey. I'm not total vegan. So glutamine, colostrum. So colostrum is what you find in child's milk, and they do sell it. I've never taken it myself. I've always used the food sources, and I've had results with that. So I actually had someone reach out to me about that, and I just couldn't see taking it. So zinc carnosine is really good for you. All zinc is really good for you, but you can only take zinc for 2 weeks at a time because it does impair other things in your body. It does have an impact on kidneys and stuff like that. So you have to be careful with those things. So we're going to start talking about the probiotics. You can see all these wonderful fruits and vegetables here. So the common fermented foods, so these are your pickles, your kimchi, your yogurt, your kefir, your kombucha. Some kombuchas that you buy are very high in sugar. They come in very large jars. So you want to get them from like a healthy place like Trader Joe's or Misfits Markets, or even a lot of supermarkets are carrying the kombucha now, and they have less sugars. I like Trader Joe's. I'm a big fan of Trader Joe's, and they have like a pint bottle of it that could last you like 2 months, and it's very low in sugar. It's got like 4 to 7 grams of sugar in the whole thing. So, so the best way to really start to repair is this process is called reinoculating. So hopefully you're managing your stress, and you're taking better care of yourself, and you're reducing that inflammation. And now you're going to start putting those prebiotics back into your body. You're not going to go out and buy every prebiotic known to man. You're going to see what your body can actually tolerate, because they are strong. And if you've been having a problem for a long time, it might be hard to reincorporate it back into your body, because you have all these things running around in your blood system now that don't belong there, and your body's attacking itself like it's sick, like almost like it's an autoimmune disease. It's attacking what's going on. So you can start incorporating fruits and vegetables back in. Jerusalem artichokes are the best that they recommend. I myself, honestly, have never tasted it. And if I did, I didn't know it was a Jerusalem artichoke. I love artichokes, but I've never heard of a Jerusalem until a couple of years ago. And I've never had it. I've never been able to find one. So I don't know where to even tell you to get it. So chickpeas are really good for you, but chickpeas are also fattening, so be careful. Can't sit there and eat the whole can. Carrots, leeks, asparagus, kiwis, pears, cherries, mangoes. So all of your leafy greens. Flax seeds are really good. I put them in my smoothies. I put them in my yogurt. So my yogurt looks like a smorgasbord. I throw everything in there. I take oatmeal and I make my own granola. I put berries in there. I throw some flaxseed in there, some chia seed, and it's like a whole meal that I don't even want anything after that. You know, so they have inulin, onion, garlics, and has asparagus twice. That's quinoa too. So that's a big faux pas. I gotta fix that because this is in one of my programs. And bananas. Bananas are good. Bananas are good, very good for you. A lot of people think that because, you know, they're fattening or they're heavy or they're starchy, but they're actually one of the best things you can eat for your body. So polyphenols inside of the heartbeat, I have a whole list of polyphenols in there because they're really important. These are antioxidants that really help protect your body against free radicals and oxidative stress. So there's something really to incorporate, and you get these from your bright fruits like blueberries, strawberries, things like that, and they improve brain function, focus, and attention span. So it's a good thing to have. They all feed the good bacteria and increase the diversity and strength of the microbiome. So you have some people that will only eat 1 or 2 vegetables, you know. So eating those 2 vegetables, even if they're eating them in high proportions, it's not really doing them any good. You need a wide diversity of probiotics. So And so that's your fruits and your vegetables. That's why I always recommend kefir to people to start out with when they think there's a problem, because kefir has 20 billion different kinds of probiotics. It's the highest that I've found in anything out there. So green tea, cranberries, dried herbs, strawberries. So these are all your polyphenols, and they're all great. Coffee too. Coffee, coffee gets a bad rap. Coffee is actually very good for you. It's very good for brain function and heart health. Energy, of course. So what you want to do is really manage your stress. So stress is a big part of this component, and you can't manage all stress, but you have to manage as much as you can. So before you eat, like people today, nobody sits down to really eat anymore. There are some families that still sit down and have that dinner meal together, but the rest of the day they're out running. They're eating in the car, they're eating on their way to the gym, they're eating, but they're not sitting and relaxing and being intentional and taking the time to digest. And when you eat like that, you really don't digest well, and you're hungry like an hour later. So you're causing more harm than good. You really need to sit and be intentional about that meal, and really take that time to use that mastication and get that jaw going, because that's going to release the enzymes and really help break it down better by the body. So this tells you to sit in silence, no phone or television for 30 seconds. So I try to do this throughout the day. I close my eyes wherever I am. I try to do it as often as possible at work, where I just close my eyes and I take like a little mini vacation, and I think about something positive, or a place, a favorite place that really helps me. Somebody keeps trying to get in. Some place that really just helps me center myself and feel, let go of that stress. So I do deep breathing exercises, in for 5, out for 7. Exhale should always be more than inhale. And you should chew your food slow, deliberately, and pause between bites. So actually, I used to inhale my food. I didn't take any of my own advice when I was sick, and that's why. So exercise is important, but it's important to really find exercise that you like to do. So if that's walking, any exercise is better than none, because if you are sedentary, you are going to get sick. Your body is going to break down. So sleep, we've mentioned, supplements. So these are all things you do to really help that. Okay, so all right. So that was simple enough. So I'm going to open the floor to you guys and see if you have any specific questions that I can answer. Everybody's pretty quiet. Hello? CJ, are you there? Hello? So, I mean, was it easily understandable? I did unmute you guys. Why is it unmute themselves? So it says.
Oh, it is.
Now
it is.
Okay. I don't know why that is. So can you talk now, CJ?
Now I can, yep.
Okay. So did you guys have any questions?
I guess, for me, and you kind of know some of my issues, what would be the number one thing for me to do starting right now to get back on track?
Manage your stress. Manage your stress. Well, no, I'm serious. I know that seems like it's a really hard thing to do, but our lives depends on it, because the stress is what really, stress can cause this by itself. It doesn't need anything else. You could be eating the best diet. I've been in healthcare a really long time. And when I look at people that came in with heart disease and all these debilitating diseases, the biggest, like the unanimous thing amongst all of them, where they were in these high impact jobs, very stressful lives. These are the things, and they didn't take time to enjoy their life and do the things they really wanted to do. So that is part of the 5R protocols: relax, stress, exercise, eat right. So that is the protocol. So managing stress could be as simple as when you see that somebody is getting on your last nerve, we all come across those people that are persnickety and can push our buttons. Sometimes it just means walking away and not giving them that voice, taking that voice from them and just walking away from that situation. Because how important is it really to let them get to you like that, in a manner where you're going to walk away from that situation stressed? I mean, I encounter that a lot at work, and sometimes I tell them all about themselves and I do it in 2 seconds and walk away. And other times I just say, it's not worth it, let me just walk away. But really owning that you're responsible for your health and making a decision to take care of it. I know that you exercise, CJ. I know a lot of people do exercise. I don't exercise a lot during the winter. I'm not that winter girl. I always exercise in the summer. This has been since I was a kid, so I should be fat all winter, and I'm not, because I do go out for those walks. I don't run to the gym and do excessive exercise, because excessive exercise can cause this too.
Well, I just think that's funny that you mentioned that, because, I've been doing those challenges and everything, and I've not lost a damn pound. And I'm
Because
just like, okay, then what's the point?
Because when you, I'm loading my metabolic program repair into the heartbeat, so when you guys are part of that community, you get access to all that stuff. It's not like you join and then you got to buy this and you got to buy that. They're going to be done as master classes. I'm going to do them with the people in the community. So and then if they're at a higher if those people want that extra help, then they could join a different tier and they can get that group coaching and have 2 calls a month or more if they want it. That's up to them. But when you cut calories, and anybody who's trying to lose weight cuts calories, and then they go to the gym, your body knows what you're doing. So your body is going to lower your thyroid hormones to like level off. It takes like a day or two for your body to say, okay, this is the new normal, let's reflect. And your body actually stops those thyroid hormones. So you're not going to. And the only way, and that's why people wind up in adrenal fatigue and they wind up with metabolic syndrome, because in order for them to keep losing weight, they would have to keep cutting their calories. And how far can you cut your calories and live?
Right.
So that's why I always suggest that people eat more. I had a client, when I told her, I'm sorry, you're going to have to eat a lot more. She said, what? I've never heard of such a thing. I said, yes, I need you to have like 6 or 7 meals a day. I said, we're not changing your calories. You're going to have the same calories this week that you're having. I said, but I want you to break that up into 6 to 7 times. And she really struggled to do that, because that's how your body responds the best. Your body needs food every couple of hours. Your brain needs that energy. And people worry about carbs and sugar. Your body turns everything into carbs and sugar. So it doesn't matter what you're putting in it, whether it's a vegetable or a piece of bread, your body's going to turn it into that sugar it needs anyway. So that's why I laugh when people say, "Oh, I'm going to cut out my carbs." Why? It doesn't even make sense. Yeah, and that is your body can break down protein and use that for energy, but not as well as it does with carbohydrates. So, and then you have those other people that are trying to lose weight and they go to the gym and they haven't eaten anything. And they're there to build muscle, and your body will eat that muscle before it burns that stored fat. Because again, you're sending your body a message that you're starving it. So it's going to stay in starvation mode. Do you know this is a fact that your body, I mean, since the Stone Age, people used to never know when they were having food again. So they would eat these big meals and then not eat. So their body would store that fat to protect them so that they wouldn't die until they had that next meal. The body adjusted and acclimated to the way they were eating, because that's what your body does. It's your protector. So your body will actually, let's say, all your fat cells are all busy, your body will build new fat cells. Yes, it will. Oh, you don't have room for this? Wait a minute. I'll put it over here.
Stop doing that shit.
Yeah, but that's what it does. Your body continually builds fat cells, and with stress, which is a big part of cortisol and insulin resistance, those are the two biggest hormones that your body is affected by when it comes to stress. Your cortisol is your stress hormone, but that impacts your insulin resistance, which is how your body processes that sugar and uses it for energy. So it will store fat, So if you don't manage those two, and the only way to really manage your stress hormone is by managing your stress. People do have very low levels of cortisol in their body. Your body is naturally higher in the morning because that's the way your circadian rhythm is, your cycle is. So your cortisol levels are higher in the morning and naturally lower at night. That's why you should get into bed, relax, unwind, and do all those things. That's why you start feeling that need to yawn, but lowering your cortisol levels too fast is also dangerous. So you can't be like this all day long, running, stressed, and then all of a sudden, breathe, so it's the rate at which it falls. So if you have really, really, really high stress levels, and then your doctor puts you on some Valiums and you have no stress, your body's gonna go through some changes. So you have to implement things little by little, and your body will respond. When I say that your body is the smartest machine ever made, I kid you not. So anything that you want your body to do, you can will it to do. You want your body to increase your metabolism, then you start eating more. Just like your body acclimates to that restrictive diet and lowers those hormones, it's going to kickstart your adrenals, get your liver using all of those metabolic processes, and your thyroid is going to start to excel too. It's going to get them working together the way they're supposed to. It's saying, oh, yay, she's feeding me now. This is perfect. So in like 2 or 3 days, it'll start acclimating. It's a matter of just getting used to it. It's very difficult when you're used to eating 3 meals a day to remember to eat, and you have to plan for it. You do,
Right.
That's the hardest part. So, I always have fruits and vegetables in my house. I have glass contain. I have something called greenies, which keeps things fresher longer, but they're plastic, so I don't use them anymore. Actually, probably going to spend tomorrow throwing those out, because A, the plastic's not good for you, especially if you're microwaving it. You're taking in all those toxins. But B, foods look more appetizing when you have a glass bowl and you can see that crisp green lettuce. You're more likely to go for that. But if it's hidden in a green container or something in the back of your refrigerator, you're not going to know it's there, and it's going to spoil in 2 days, So You know, I make a lot of stir fries. I posted one the other day. It didn't look good, but man, was that to die for. It had zucchini in it, plant proteins. Plant proteins taste just like regular meat. You wouldn't know the difference. You really wouldn't. You know, I started serving them to my husband years ago, and he didn't even know. Never even knew. You know, and now he's like, hey, honey, you got any of those plant proteins laying around? Any of those sausage? I'm sweating profusely in here. It's so hot. It's like how hot is it where you guys are?
It's 85 in Wisconsin.
It's 85. It's 85 here. It's 85 here. So
81
I
in
mean
Kentucky.
81. So it's crazy here in New York. It's really yesterday too, and it takes my thyroid time to acclimate. So so stress is the biggest thing first that you have to manage. And when you start managing your stress, your inflammation in the body is going to start coming down because and you can lose 5 pounds just from that because that inflammation is stored throughout your body. It's not just in one place. A lot of times it will sits in that central obesity area. That's where the fat tends to go with cortisol and insulin resistant. It usually does go to belly fat. So a lot of people that are suffering with belly fat have high stress levels and a lot of inflammation in the body. That's what's causing that. You know, and it's really easy to get rid of if you manage the stress and eat more vegetables. Nobody wants to hear eat more vegetables, but it's the simplest way to really get your body back in balance. It doesn't mean you don't eat meat, you just eat better choices of meat. Instead of if you like steak, have that steak, but don't have a 16 or 12 ounce steak. Have a normal 3 or 4 ounce steak and tell yourself enough. My mother was that woman that wanted you to eat everything on your plate, everything. And I used to feel bad when I threw food away. So I would eat everything on that plate. And for me, it took simple things like changing the size of my plate. You know, my husband said, what's that going to do? I said, it's a lot easier to eat from a smaller plate and have less food. He thought I was crazy, but it worked. You know, and then I started saying, okay, I'll leave this, you know, I won't finish this. And because a lot of it is around how we're raised and the emotions and the way we're taught to think of food and eat.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just retraining your brain, just like you say, you know, I'm abundant, happy, healthy. You do the same thing with food, you know.
Right.
You tell yourself you're what?
I said that makes complete sense.
It really does. And that's really what it was about. When Shad Helmstetter has been around forever. And in one of the first programs I made called Habit Transformation, I spoke about him. He has all these positive tapes, and it's Self-Talk Institute that he runs. And they're audio. They used to be on computer. Now they're just audio, like you can download the app. But he has positive affirmations for everything. And I actually met him through Amway when I was selling Amway. He used to be the speaker to get us motivated and retraining your brain and all that stuff. But he does them for weight loss, you know, he does them for, like, you know, jobs. He does them for everything. But he explains in his lectures that your brain has neuroplasticity and you can retrain your brain to think however you program it to. So I would listen to his tapes, and I would say I'm my perfect weight at 125 pounds, and and I would just keep telling myself that, and that was the weight that I wanted to get back to, and that's the weight that I've been able to maintain. So
That's awesome. This has been amazing. I need to jump off, but thank you so much for this.
You're very welcome.
Who was
Anybody
that
else
author?
Shad Helmstetter. If
Okay.
you look him up, he's just amazing. But I actually use him, Mona. You might love him too. Like I work with a lot of clients that really do suffer with low self-esteem. They've tried a lot of programs and they somehow are left feeling like they did something wrong. Not that the programs were bad, that it was their fault, that they didn't do something right. And a lot of these programs out there aren't really helping these people. They're telling them to do all the things that are in fact making them sicker. And every person is different. So, you know, the nurse in me, I have to ask people, you know, what other diagnoses they have. I can't give them a medication without knowing what other medications they're on for interactions. So I am that probing person. I have to be. But people that are just out there trying to sell programs, not everybody cares about people the way you and I do. So so I had a client that really just did not believe she could do it. So because I had that man in the back of my head, I started creating my own, you know, like the positive affirmations you see me doing on Facebook now. So I would do them for her every time I turn around. Fruits and vegetables are chasing me, you know, saying things like, you know, every time I sit down to eat, I only eat so much and never one bite more. I eat until I'm full and never one bite more. So I would do these whole things in like 5-minute thing, and I would tell her, listen to this every day for the next 30 days. And they really helped her. She was going on vacation, and she was afraid that she wasn't going to be able to stick to the diet. So I did one. I'm going on vacation, and with me, I'm bringing my new healthy self, you know, and you know, so you can make them for anything. And he tells you like how to write them for yourself and everything. And I still use them today for like whenever I'm working on something and I'm stuck or I'm getting in my own way because I got, you know, that butterfly syndrome. I plug him in and I listen to him because he has one for goal setting. He has him for business. He has him for everything.
I found his website, so I'll check that out. Thank you.
I'm telling you, you'll love him. And whatever you're going through at that time, I just listen to him wherever I'm going. Because the whole thing is with this, you don't have to actively listen. You're supposed to be listening it to in the background. His wife lost 25 pounds while he was shaving. And he tells the story in his tapes. He was listening to the tapes and his wife and him shared a bathroom. She wasn't trying to lose weight, and just by listening to them in the background, she lost 25 pounds.
Well, this is very good information. I appreciate the opportunity to you know, to listen in and learn from you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And if you have any questions or anything that comes to your mind, you can always reach out to me in chat and stuff. I'm always happy to answer questions. But just really reduce that stress, eat those fruits and vegetables, all that fermented food, water is big, and sleep. Sleep is right up there with stress. If you're not sleeping, your body's stressed. Okay, guys?
My homemade sauerkraut is 1 week away from being really good.
Oh, wow. I love sauerkraut. Do you know the weirdest thing? I only ate sauerkraut with pork or like hot dogs. So now it's so hard for me to eat it by itself. So I'm like, do I go out and get hot dogs? But I've learned to put other things. But you got to send me that recipe. I love sauerkraut.
It's real easy. You take 1 head of cabbage, you chop it up whichever way you want. After you take out the core, you add about a teaspoon, maybe 2 of salt, and then you knead it like bread dough. Okay. And you put it into, I put it into a gallon crock with a lid so the dust and stuff stays out of it. But because mine doesn't seal, I don't have to burp it every day. It kind of escapes on its own. And it's marvelous stuff. I eat it every couple of days, about a quarter of a cup, sometimes half a cup. Yeah.
Well, that is amazing for your gut health. So
Yeah.
all those fermented foods, kefir is probably the best at really getting your body back to, because of my thyroid, I was that person that was always constipated. There would be 7 days I would not go to the bathroom. So of course I was bloated all the time. And my brother-in-law was actually the one who told me about that because of all his issues. Man, I was in the bathroom 7 times that day. I never felt so good. I said, "Oh man!" And if I don't have it in the house, I'm cranky. I'm cranky, girl, because it has 20 billion probiotics. So that alone will start to repair.
I haven't found a kefir that I like yet, so I'm thinking about making my own because so many of what I see in the stores just they're full of stuff.
No, you have to get unsweetened regular because the other ones are all loaded with sugar. So I get unsweetened plain. And Mona, what I do is I take like a quarter cup because I have 3 smoothies a day because I can't eat the amounts of vegetables I need to really, so I take like a quarter cup a day. I put it in the blender. I put blueberries, strawberries, protein. I buy greenie powder. And I get that right on Amazon. It has more probiotics than any of those ones that I found in those expensive markets. The one that I get. I put beetroot powder in there, chia, flax, and you don't taste any of that stuff. It just tastes like the dominant fruit,
Yeah. I will give that a try. Putting kefir in a smoothie might make it go down a little easier. Because some that I've tried, I just haven't liked the way they've tasted, and then others had too much either sugar or other things in it, and I want something that's pure and plain,
Yeah, try the unsweetened plain. All right, I'm gonna hop off soon. I just wanted to see. I see 3 other people here. Diane, did you have any questions, honey? Diane, do you have any questions? Okay, Amanda, do you have any questions? Can they hear me?
No, I think I'm good. So thank you so much for the information.
Oh, you're very welcome. Mona, what about you? Are you
No,
okay? That's
I'm
you.
good. I have a starting place.
All right, so that's you. You're in 2 places. Okay.
That's my note keeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell her I said hi. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off. If any of you guys want the replay to go back through it, just let me know. Okay.
Thank you.